the idea of the distinction between holy and hellish, or awesome and awful. And we've spoken about that before, how there's almost this fine line between something that's awful, like horror, and then amazing. And I think it's Jordan Peterson that I have seen speak about that you get the same reaction from terror as you do from awe. And I think that he's likened it to when a cat is afraid, their fur stands up. And it's a similar thing to when a human being gets like their goosebumps and your hair stands up on end. And but that's also a reaction of both awe and of fear. And I think that this movie is a really, there's this duality where there's the unknown as God and as death, and then also the known world that he's dealing with. I don't know. What do you think about that? This distinction between awful and awesome as something in this movie.
No, I know the reference you're talking about. I mean, the word awesome has just become
it's
slang
not what it was.
or whatever, but it meant it's and the word terrible also. So so in the Bible, you often hear God referred to as terrible, but they don't mean terrible like he's
mighty.
They
right?
mean it's like looking at the ocean or looking at something that's so
or like off a
vast.
cliff.
Yeah, something that's vast that it gives you that feeling. I think that's probably where most people will get that feeling, is by looking at the natural world and seeing something that's just the scope of which is so big that it's overwhelming. Or looking at the night sky, in a clear night with all the stars. There's something. It's not bad, but it's so overwhelming that it's not good either. So
I wonder.
That's awesome. Stars are awesome. Astronomy is awesome. Am I right?
It's funny to say it. I wonder. Okay, two things. Yes, that's right. The idea of the ocean and vastness being what causes that reaction of awe that's almost awful. That it makes you feel in the same way. I mean, and that's the idea that you tremble before God, because it's not that God is a monster. It's that God is such a figure of vastness, of what is beyond human comprehension, that this is a religious podcast. It's ridiculous. I don't even know how this.
I mean, it's Jacob's Ladder.
It's awesome.
God is awesome. Then I come out playing the electric guitar and
playing Stairway to Heaven or something.
Yeah. No, not Stairway to Heaven. It would be really bad Christian rocks.
If you're gonna do it right, okay, this podcast is still good. We can still be covert, outreach program and not be bad. We could be the first one because we're actually not. Whatever. Here's the thing.
If this podcast doesn't work, then we'll just switch it up. We'll pretend to be Christians and start being a ministry. We'll get more donations.
Yeah, for real.
But of course, look, here's the thing. It's a movie called Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah,
you gotta talk about God. We can't. We can still be secularists or whatever, humanists or you don't gotta believe in this.
Or atheists,
whatever you want to do.
I mean, atheist still looks at a mountain, I hope, and says, wow, I feel amazing. I feel, inspired. And I think that...
They don't. Now, atheists just look at mountains and they measure it and they're like, that's science. And
Sam Harris. That's the Sam Harris approach. No, I'm starting a feud with Sam Harris for no reason.
I don't know why.
I just like to. It's funny to me. Anyway, I wonder if... And here's actually to keep on my feud with Sam Harris.
Actually, he would probably know more about Buddhism and could tell us that we're idiots about how we're talking about Buddhism.
Come on the podcast. Tell us why we are idiots. But the thing is, and I mean, there is, of course, he's not an asshole. Like, he knows things, of course.
He's not an asshole. Great. Great.
It's fine. I totally
Yeah, I
think
don't.
that I respect him, all that. And there is, his expertise in being, this kind of mindfulness verse, and his background in neuroscience is a really interesting one, because it's you're getting the side of where you ask the questions and you see the mystical things, but then you actually have the answers for those things. But what I wonder is if, and this is a big argument, is if our, how can I say, if the growth of science as an answer for everything reduces how often we can feel awe over what is unknown. Because the more what is unknown and what induces that sense of this is beyond what I can explain shrinks because it becomes explainable, do our chances for that sense of awe that we seem wired to be able to feel, do they reduce?